You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Okay, hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Safety FM with Jay Allen. I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods as we are getting to hang out on this Tuesday, October the 22nd of 2024. So let's talk, because I told you last week, and especially if you were listening live on Safety FM, we discussed that we were going to be at Safety Day 2024 presented by the ACFS. And that's where we were last week. And we got to do some things, take a listen to some presentations that were going on. And so today what we would like to do is talk a little bit about some of those presentations that took place. And then what I'm going to do is kind of do something a little strange here. I'm going to play the full presentation, and then we're going to go into an interview. So go to the conclusion that some of these presentations are not what I would say long, but for a podcast, you probably don't want to do the presentation and then the interview afterwards, because we're probably looking about an hour and a half and change. So let's do this. Episode 1 will be this one right here of a two-parter. The first part, we're going to have a conversation here with Dr. Matthew Law, where he's going to discuss information about safety and AI. That's going to be the presentation. Then in episode 2, we're going to do an interview with Dr. Law directly after his presentation. So this way you kind of get the layout of the land of what exactly to expect. So let's start it off right now with Dr. Matthew Law and his presentation from Safety Day 2024 here on Safety FM with Jay Allen.
I manage customer safety strategy for Grainger. I'm an environmental health officer with the Navy Reserve, and I also teach at the University of Alabama, Birmingham in their Advanced Safety and Engineering Management program. But one of my main things that I do is research. So I have to preface this. I did a ton of research in a very short time period, and I've added on to this as I've gone, but this is a lot of information. Who's ready for an information dump? Yeah. Yes. All right. That's what I love to hear. Okay, there's two things that I love. One is research. The other is the sound of my own voice. So you folks are in for a real treat this morning. All right. So today we're going to talk about emerging trends of artificial intelligence in occupational safety and health. What I want to do with this presentation this morning, if you haven't heard this yet, this is a very, very basic discussion about artificial intelligence. So I don't want anybody to be scared here. I will walk you through the basics of artificial intelligence, because my goal today is that everybody leaves here with a basic understanding and the ability to brainstorm about what artificial intelligence can do for safety in the future. Right now, it's doing quite a bit, but in the future, there's a lot of opportunity. So we're going to talk just through the basics of artificial intelligence, and I'm hitting the wrong button already. So the first thing we're going to do is discuss the range and types of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and how it continues to rapidly evolve for consumer applications. So we're going to talk about this at a very broad level, a very basic level. We're going to cover just the things that you need to know. And I hope that you are able to conceptualize this a little bit better and you're not scared of it after this presentation. We're also going to evaluate the current and potential applications for AI and machine learning in occupational safety and health. And then we're going to look at some of this research that I've done with market intelligence, some of the academic research that's out there, and how both of those things are going to influence the future state of application of artificial intelligence for safety. So we have to start with what is AI. And I want to level set on exactly what constitutes artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is the most important part of this whole discussion. If you space out 20 minutes, 20 minutes from now after I'm through this part, it's cool. We just got to get through this part. Artificial intelligence is a computer system that shows behavior in a way that could be interpreted as human intelligence, provided the system is dealing with pattern matching. And we're going to talk a little bit about what exactly that means, but artificial intelligence as it exists today is on a spectrum, and we're very, very much on one end of that spectrum right now. But to talk about artificial intelligence, we have to talk about what constitutes intelligence. Where does computer intelligence come from, and where does human intelligence come from? Because they come from very different places. We have to ask the question, is it intelligent, or is it designed to seem intelligent? So if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a little girl building blocks. Human intelligence. Everybody agree? Yes. I don't think she's AI generated. I do believe that is a little girl building blocks. Human intelligence. In the middle here, we've got a collection of things that you probably are familiar with. Smartphones, smart home devices, smart connected PPE, anything like that. Is it intelligent? That's a good question, right? It's maybe designed to seem intelligent. And then on the right-hand side, we've got this cybernetic organism, this robot that looks a little scary and mean and probably exhibits some level of intelligence. We can't really tell from a still photo, and I believe this photo was actually AI generated itself. Anyway, there's this whole spectrum, and we have to keep asking this question: is it intelligent, or is it designed to seem intelligent? I'm going to walk you through something called the Chinese room argument. This is how we define where intelligence for artificial intelligence comes from. So I want you to imagine yourself, close your eyes, or just imagine yourself. Imagine yourself in a windowless room, and you have one mail slot on the door. Now, this mail slot is your only method of communication with the outside world. Now, in this room, you have a phrase book on a desk, and you've got a bunch of Post-it notes with Chinese symbols on them on the floor. Now, the book tells you which response you should use to answer each note that comes through that mail slot on the door. Remember, that's your only method of communication. The book tells you which response you should use to answer each note that comes through. It says, if your phrase book says this, you respond with this sequence. Now you have, I'm just assuming that nobody here knows how to speak Chinese Mandarin. If you do, just imagine it's another language that you don't understand. You have no idea what these notes say or what the symbols mean because they're in Chinese Mandarin. You simply follow the instructions given by the phrase book, matching the patterns and symbols. Now the person on the other side of that mail slot, though, might think you are fully fluent in Chinese Mandarin, but you are only following the set of rules that were given to you that allow you to appear fluent. In the same way, a system may appear intelligent, but it's simply matching patterns to provide an output. Clear as mud? All right. Good start here. There's a spectrum of artificial intelligence. There's weak AI and strong AI. Weak AI is a system that's confined to a very narrow task. Strong AI is a machine that displays all behavior associated with a human being. Let me show you what this spectrum looks like. You've seen the smartphones, you've seen the smart home devices. These are systems that are confined to very narrow tasks. They may appear intelligent, but really their tasks are very, very, very narrow. Then, if you think science fiction, you have Data from Star Trek, you have C-3PO from Star Wars. These are systems that are exhibiting all elements of human behavior. There is autonomy there. So we've got a spectrum, weak AI versus strong AI. We're here. We're looking at a very weak type of artificial intelligence right now. I know there's been a lot of media attention. There's been a lot of discussion about AI. There's been a lot of fear out there. Understand, we're in a very, very weak form of AI right now. It's doing a lot of cool things, and it's going to do a whole lot of more cool things here in the future, but we're looking at a very weak form of AI. Everything else is still science fiction and will probably remain so for a good long while. So that's artificial intelligence. Let's talk about machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a process in which machines start by identifying patterns, and then they continue to learn more as they work through additional data. This has really been the big thing, the big breakthrough of the last few years, is this artificial intelligence system that's not only matching patterns, but it's able to continually learn from the patterns that are given it. If you think about this in terms of how we learn, humans have 5 senses. We see, we touch, we hear, we feel, we smell. Did I hit them all? We taste. That's how we learn. That's how we interact with the outside world. Those are our sensors. We bring that information in and we learn. Machines use data. Lots and lots and lots of data. Now, through both of these methods of learning, there is a continuous growth through the observations that we are able to make and that these machines are able to make. So how does this work? There's 2 different forms of machine learning. Is everybody still with me so far, by the way? I'm moving through this really, really quickly. Okay. 2 different types of machine learning. There's supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning is where we start. This is where the human acts as a tutor for the machine. The humans train using a training data set, and all the data is labeled. So think about a spreadsheet. I'm sure everybody's worked with some sort of spreadsheet, some sort of Excel document. If you have a spreadsheet full of data and it's not labeled, you have no idea what it is, then it's not useful to you. In the same way, to a machine, right off the bat, if you feed it just a bunch of cells with a bunch of numbers in it, it's not really going to know what to do with that. So we start with a labeled data training set, so it knows and you know what this data is that you're feeding the machine. Then there's this other form of learning called unsupervised learning. This is where you can give that machine a block of unlabeled data. And what the machine does is it sorts that data into clusters that make sense to it. This is all unlabeled data, but this is how it's able to process that information and then learn from that information. So a programming model is needed for the machine to learn right now. You start with that training data set. It's a very small data set. All the stuff is labeled. And you give it that, and that's how you train the machine to think in a certain way. Then you use a test data set, which is a larger and unlabeled data set. You feed it this data set to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do based on how it was trained. And then you've got your initial data model that you can do everything else with. Everybody still with me? Man, okay. All right, listen. This is an interactive discussion. If you have questions, please stop me, because I do not want anybody to leave here without understanding something. Yes, Kelly?
Thanks for that permission. Can you give examples of what you're talking about? Like, are you thinking about, like, data analytics or predictive, predicting what kind of injuries you're going to have? Can you give some examples?
So I'll give one example, and we're going to get deeper into the discussion on how AI is in safety and some of the things that it's doing right now. One thing that is popular out there right now is computer vision, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but it's image and video analysis for safety. So if I feed an AI program just a picture, and it has no concept, no labeling, no context to that picture, it's just going to make sense of whatever's there. So if I want to train that AI to think about that picture in a certain way, I need to label it hard hat, vest, gloves, whatever action that person is doing in that picture. I need to tell the AI system that that is what's happening in that picture, so that moving forward, when it sees another picture that's unlabeled, it knows the elements of what's in that picture. Does that make a little bit more sense? Okay. This also applies to text data and numbers and everything else, but you want if you create an AI model, you need to start with that labeled data set so that it knows what it's looking at for the future when you give it unlabeled data.
So it's limited to the data that you're feeding it at the time of this?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It is limited, in the early stages of building an AI model, it is limited to the data that you're feeding it and how you are telling it to think about that data. Okay. So the big thing that's happened over the last few years, especially with generative AI, is that the machine learning systems that are out there have been able to go far beyond because of the amount of data that it's consuming. So remember, humans and machines learn from two different types of senses. We have our senses, and machines learn from data. The more things you bring in with your senses, the more you learn about the world around you. It's the same for the machines. The more data that it's fed, if it's open source, if it's accessible to the entire internet, the entire population, then it's continuously learning, and it's able to do more because of the things that it has learned. Okay, I'm not going to get too much deeper in on that. This could be a day-long discussion, guys, and I've got 45 minutes. All right, I want to clear up a couple more things just before we move on. The first one is that widgets, physical things, are not AI. So you've probably heard of this thing called Internet of Things. These are... In the safety world, it's connected worker, it's connected safety, it's smart PPE, it's gas detectors with connected services. They connect over Wi-Fi, connect over Bluetooth, things like that. These things are all sensors that collect data, and that's how they communicate with the world. Now, they create data that can be analyzed on the back end. What's cool about this is you can attach an AI system on the back end to do better analysis, or do faster analysis anyway. And that's how those things become quote-unquote smart. But the devices themselves are not smart. There is the AI on the back end that makes it smarter. Then you've got robotics. Robotics are also not AI. Robotics, of course, are machines that behave like living objects in some form or fashion. Has anybody played with robots at all? Anybody have a robot vacuum? I have one, it died. But these machines are not AI on their own. Now, if you combine them with machine learning, they can do a lot more tasks than previously possible, but they still need time and human input to train the system. We still have to train the AI on the back end of those robots to do what they're supposed to do. For example, humans are still at the driver's seat of self-driving cars. I just got a new Ford Expedition Max last week, and it has Blue Cruise in it, and it drives itself on the highway, and it is so cool. But it can't do everything on its own. I still have to sit there in the driver's seat, and I still have to take control when the system deems it unsafe. Humans are still in the driver's seat of self-driving cars, will probably be there for a long time. There's a lot of development that's happening there, and it's going to be really cool. Okay, a couple more things to clear up before we move on. Benefits. There are a ton of benefits to AI machine learning. AI machine learning can analyze data much faster than humans. AI machine learning systems can sense things that humans cannot perceive. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to the computer vision part for safety. Really cool stuff. So if you feed it a bunch of information, it can pick up things very quickly, things that you probably would have missed if you were doing the investigation yourself. Machine learning continues to get better at understanding the nuances of human language. So this has also been the big thing in the past few years. ChatGPT, OpenAI, these things are getting better at understanding human language because we speak weirdly. compared to how a computer would normally process information. But it's getting better at understanding how we talk. Also, AI cannot, will not replace the human. It does enhance the human's ability to perform. Work will change. I guarantee you, with the introduction of AI, work will change. But we still need humans. We still need humans to train the AI. We still need humans to interpret the outputs of AI. It will not replace humans. Work will change, but work will still be here. There are risks. Machine learning should not be used to make decisions that humans cannot understand. There's a great example, and unfortunately this is probably one of the only pieces of information I'm going to give you today that I cannot prove because I haven't actually looked it up, but somebody told me this story, okay? There were two AI systems that were pitted up against each other. They're language systems pitted up against each other and told to talk to each other. Now, this is in a closed system, closed environment. There's no risk to the outside world or anything. These systems are talking to each other, and after a while, they develop their own language. And they're talking to each other in their own language. So now we pull that thing out, and we've just got a bunch of babble that makes no sense to humans. Absolutely useless. Machine learning should not be used to make decisions that humans cannot understand. It should not be used to create languages that humans can't understand. Then it's just totally useless. One other thing, this is really important to take away too. AI and machine learning can enhance what is already good, but it will not fix what is inherently bad. So there's a lot of benefits to using AI to analyze your data and do great things with safety. But it is not going to fix all the bad stuff that you already have. Great example I can use here. If the basis of your root cause analysis always ends in blaming the worker, and you train the AI to do that, the AI is going to blame the worker. We're actually already seeing this stuff in some of the AI that is being used in safety but hasn't really been trained by safety professionals. We're seeing a little bit of that just because of all the rhetoric that happens within our profession. If you feed it bad data, if you train it in the wrong way, it will do the wrong things. By the way, blaming the worker is the wrong thing to do. I don't know if that was clear enough there. Data privacy is still a thing. Caution when using open source platforms or using cloud storage. So there are really cool things that you could do right now. If you want to start playing with ChatGPT or any of these other generative AI systems, great, go ahead and do so. But don't feed it proprietary information. Don't feed it personally identifiable information, because once it's out there, it's out there. That's how these machines learn. They collect data from everywhere, and they continue to learn that way. So don't feed it proprietary information. Now, you can get AI models to use in-house for yourself in a private way. You just have to pay for it. That's the difference. And then also cloud storage is also a risk. And you can talk to some of the vendors out there that are putting AI into safety right now. They're looking at ways to keep your data safer. Some of them are actually using encrypted systems, end-to-end encryption. They're using locked hard drives on site so that data never leaves anywhere. And all of that AI system is completely housed on that site. That's cool. But just think about these things when you are looking to use AI. One last thing. This comes from Verdantix, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Verdantix, but Verdantix does a lot of market research in environmental health and safety software, and of course AI is part of that. There's a really good article that was written and some really good takeaways here. So, over-reliance on technology may lead to failures. Again, like I said, this is a tool. It's cool. It's going to make us better, but we can't overly rely on it. We can't get, I hate the word complacent, but we can't get complacent about it. We have to understand the risks. We have to have that proper education, which is why everybody's here today, around these advanced analytic tools, and their supervision is required to ensure data accuracy and advanced decision making. These applications are continuously evolving as they become more accessible and they evolve into a state where more and more people can get a hold of them. We are going to see novel risk vectors come out of that. We don't know exactly what all of those risks may be, but some of the smaller firms that maybe don't work with these platforms very often or don't understand all the nuances of them may have fewer capabilities for oversight, could open themselves to novel risk vectors. OSH functions should leverage AI technology as another tool in the toolbox, but need to recognize that it is not a complete solution. All right, so those are the basics. Safety professionals need, nobody here needs to be a programmer of artificial intelligence. If you never program an artificial intelligence model in your life, it's fine. It's cool. You can still use it. What I want you to do is to understand the basics of how AI works, the purpose, the function of artificial intelligence, because once we know these things, we can set expectations for the future. And I'm going to talk a little bit about us having a seat at the table when it comes to developing AI for safety. All right, any questions so far? Okay, let's talk a little bit about what AI is doing in safety. There are some current applications, and there's definitely a lot of more proposed applications. I have to be honest, there's not a whole lot happening here right just yet, but there's a ton of stuff on the horizon. The first example I can give is data analysis and pattern recognition. So think about all of the data that you bring in. Your inspections, your asset management, your incident investigations, your root cause analyses, all of this data just comes in and it can sit in what we like to call a data lake, right? It just sits there, and there's not really a whole lot we can do with it without better analysis. So AI, again, can take in all that information, if trained correctly, and provide much faster and much better, more succinct outputs. Identify patterns and trends, detect anomalies and correlations. Along the same lines, it can go a step further and do a little bit of risk prediction and early warning system. So looking at all that data that you're bringing in and saying, oh, hey, there's an issue here that you probably need to look at. That's cool. That's a really cool feature that's going to come out of AI. Natural language processing, again, with the generative AI for compliance monitoring, we can take all these text documents. I can take OSHA 1910 and 1926 and my company policy and some of the outcomes in the workplace, put them all together into an AI system, and that AI system will detect the gaps and tell me what's wrong. And tell me where I missed a step. That's cool. All right, that's coming. Image and video analysis, this is the one thing that is on the market right now that you can go and buy off the shelf. It is a complete AI system, and you can put it into your workplace right now. It's called computer vision. There's some cool vendors out there. And I'm not actively endorsing any of them because I don't work directly with any of them, but Protex AI, Intensai, Voxel, there's a handful of other ones that are out there. They're really cool. Go online and check out their systems and what they can do. What they do is they use cameras that look at the workplace, and they can use existing, closed circuit television or whatever you have set up, and basically find compliance issues or risks or anything out of that to tell you that something is wrong. They can identify whether employees are wearing appropriate PPE or detect structural defects in the infrastructure. All sorts of really cool things. This is the one thing that is on the market right now that you can pick up off the shelf and put into your workplace. Everything else is proposed. It's coming very quickly. I'll tell you what's happening is a lot of software vendors that are already out there doing EHS management systems, those are the ones that are playing with it, because what they're going to do is augment it onto their current platform and said, hey, you're using our software to collect all this data. Here's a little co-pilot to analyze that data for you. And you might have to pay a premium for it, but it's there. It's coming. Some of the key benefits of AI and safety, we are looking to reduce human error using this, automate some dangerous tasks. Again, we're not replacing the worker. We are enhancing the worker's ability to perform. Work will change, but it will not be eliminated. But there are some dangerous tasks that everybody can agree probably needs to be automated. It would be a lot safer. Employee monitoring, harassment monitoring, equipment control, crime detection and prevention, all of these are really cool things that are going to come out of AI in the near future. So let's talk about some of the things that are currently on the market. Now, Verdantix has done a lot of research into the things that are currently out there. There's more than 45 use cases. Again, the only thing you can pick up off the shelf right now is that computer vision piece, but there are some other things that are being piloted, being augmented onto existing software platforms. Everything from regulatory compliance to data management, proactive risk management, workflow optimization, and automation. Computer vision, this is a screenshot. It really doesn't do it justice. You got to see this in live. You got to see the video working. But you can. This is actually from Protex's or Protex AI's website. They have you can use this system to set exclusion zones, to look at PPE use, to find any other risks. One of the videos that I watched looked at traffic on a warehouse floor and how traffic normally operated. Now, traffic, the people had planned traffic in a certain way, but what they didn't know was that in certain areas where the forklift lane was, there was also these workstations over here, and people were coming within 4 inches of those forklifts as they're going by. But nobody really, it wasn't really planned that way, and nobody really saw it that way. But it would pick up these near misses all day long, and suddenly they were able to use that information to change that whole layout, and now they've reduced a ton of risk in that workplace. There's a lot of cool things. Protex put out a case study. Marks & Spencer is one of the organizations they work with, reduced incidents by 80% in their first 10 weeks of deployment. Now, what I will tell you on the back end of that is that it's not that... Okay, so of the 100% of incidents, it's not that before this system was put in place, Marks & Spencer was having all these incidents and were recording them. It's that as soon as they put this system in place, this thing was detecting 100% of these incidents that they had no idea about. So then, because they knew about it, they're able to reduce it by 80% by changing their layouts, their work systems, all that stuff. Really cool stuff. One other thing that's out there, hazard recognition training and inspection management platforms. Again, AI is being kind of augmented onto these things. Grainger works with an organization called TrainPoint. They do this transitional reality training system. Basically, think about the virtual reality training and put it on a desktop or a phone, and they call it transitional reality. It's immersive, but it's more accessible. They use for their engine Unity. If anybody's familiar with the Unity gaming engine, that's what they use. Unity has AI actually still in beta, but what it's able to do is capture assets, capture environments through CAD, through images, through videos, and train those things to operate in a more efficient way. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm okay. All right. Behave more accurately and independently. Again, they also have an auditing platform. AI can do those predictive things and analysis that we were talking about earlier. So some of the considerations that we need to talk about right now, when you are shopping, talking to your vendors, because again, I'm assuming that nobody here, or very few of you, are going to be programming your own AI models. You're probably going to buy it off the shelf. let the experts, let the software developers develop this stuff. But when you're doing this, think about privacy. Think about how is that data anonymized? How am I protecting the identity of my workers? Some of these folks that are doing the image and video analysis are working on ways to de-identify the worker so that all you're seeing is the action, not who's doing it, which is really cool because then we're getting away from that thing of blaming the worker that I talked about. Employee engagement. So whenever you put any type of technology in the workplace, you have to be transparent with your workers about the data that you're after, how it's collected, and how it's used. That's the only way they're going to trust those systems and engage with those systems. If you're masking that process, you're already going to get bogus data, and you're already going to get bogus outcomes from those systems. So you have to engage your employees throughout the process. Also, when you're shopping, ask if it's scalable. Can I use it for enterprise and multi-site? Is it diverse in its application, or is it like specific to a certain industry? There are also ethics associated with this. This is a very long discussion that I'm not going to get into too deeply, but my friend Dr. Dan Snyder and I recently did a podcast. It just came out yesterday on the Case for Safety podcast by ASSP, and we talk about the ethics behind AI and the technology in the workplace. Go listen to that because it's a really cool discussion. Dan is my ethics guy. I'm not an expert there. But again, with AI specifically, we are looking at enhancement, not replacing the human. Enhancing our ability to perform. AI should provide a better way to look at data, but humans, rather than AI, should still be making the decisions based on the data provided. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how research right now, market research and academic research, is going to influence the future. So some key insights. Nobody can read this. That text is way too small. I'll tell you what, if you want the slides, I will give you the slides so you have all this information. Verdantix has done a lot of research into software, EHS software in general. And of course, a part of that is AI. What they have found is that we just don't have a lot of information about where this is going to be going in the future. What I can tell you is that when EHS software came along, I don't know exactly when that was. I'm going to estimate 20 years ago or so, at least a few decades. When EHS management software came along, it was clunky, it was weird, nobody really knew exactly how it was going to impact our profession, and then a few years later, it just hit this point where it exploded, and suddenly everybody wanted to use EHS software because we all decided that pen and paper was just too clunky for us to use. We all decided that spreadsheets weren't giving us the outputs that we wanted, so we moved to EHS management software. Now, I have data that says only 60% of all organizations use any kind of EHS software, but it's out there. People are using it now. So what happened was there was this explosion in the market, and now I don't know about you, but every day on LinkedIn, I get some sort of inquiry, hey, we'd love for you to try our EHS management software. And it's like all these random firms that have come up, all these copycats and things like that. Right now, with AI, there's only like a handful of firms out there. I think less than 10 the last time I looked, that are doing anything off the shelf. Here's an AI system for you to use in your workplace. What's going to happen as this evolves and becomes more accessible in the next few years, I'm going to give it 5 years. I'm going to say 5 years, we're going to see an explosion. And AI is going to be through the roof, readily accessible, and a lot of folks in safety are going to be using it. But that's kind of all speculation. That's just what we're predicting based on past EHS software trends. We're thinking that AI is going to explode, and a lot of people are going to be using it here very shortly. Again, I'm happy to feed you guys this deck after this, so you have all this information. There's a lot of demand for AI because of the media attention that it's gotten. I'm sure, well, a lot of you are sitting here just because you're at Safety Day in general, but you chose to come back in away from break because you wanted to learn about AI because it's an interesting topic. There's a lot of demand and a lot of interest, and that's why this is going to explode. We're going to see new applications. We're going to see copycat competitors. So now all your LinkedIn inbox, instead of just general software, it's going to be all AI. Hey, check out our AI platform. With the increased awareness of AI, vendors have seen a 40% increase in inbound activity, and that includes prospective clients and investor stakes. So they're seeing a lot of activity there. But again, the exact projected growth is difficult to pinpoint because we only have a small sample of successful application. Only a few people have really bought into this so far. And the demand is really unknown, even if the interest is increasing. All right. Some new insights. And this is where I get really excited because I actually did some research. ASSP distributed a survey on Grainger's behalf to all U.S.-based members in June 2024. This was based on guidance from the Executive Safety Forum. What we looked at was how EHS technology, just in general, is being used in the workplace right now. Who's using it? Why are they using it? Who's adopting it? And how they say that software is affecting their injury and fatality outcomes and their productivity and efficiency outcomes. I do go in deeper on this in that podcast I told you about. But what I specifically want to pull from this is the things that we learned about AI. So, key insights for artificial intelligence. Right now, based on this survey, 16.3% of respondents are already using AI in some form or fashion in safety. Then another 10% are planning to implement AI in the next 12 months. So that tells me in a year, already a quarter of organizations represented in this survey are going to be using AI. It's coming. It's explosive. It is coming. They are actually more likely to implement AI than Internet of Things, learning management software, and immersive training technologies in the next year. Productivity and efficiency is more likely to be motivators. So one of the things we found in this survey is that, and these are self-reported outcomes, but the majority of folks, 60% of folks, said the technology that they have implemented has had little to no effect or has only somewhat improved their injury and fatality outcomes. That's wild to think about. I mean, the whole point of EHS is to protect people, property, and the environment. You would think that the software, the technology that we put into place, the purpose of that would be to do the same thing. But they're saying it's having little to no effect. What they did say, though, is it has moderately to greatly improved their productivity and efficiency outcomes. So what this tells me is that EHS technology, AI, anything you put into place, whatever, it's making us better at our jobs. It's making us more productive and more efficient so that we can be the ones that are still improving those injury and fatality outcomes. The tool is not going to fix your program itself. You have to fix the program, but use the tool to help you get there. Cool? All right. Larger organizations are going to be the most likely to implement AI. Who's using AI? In the next year, hospitality, transportation, oil and gas, property management, and retail. These are the folks that are most likely to implement AI in the next 12 months, or have it implemented in the next 12 months. In the next year, the highest usage will be among organizations over $10 billion in annual revenue, and those with over 40,000 employees. That's what we know right now about AI. Again, there's a whole lot of stuff that we pulled from this survey. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say your data is actually probably more on the conservative side, because I think what you're going to see, at least in my industry as far as construction goes, is a lot of the proprietary construction management softwares and stuff, they're already integrating AI tools into the platform itself. And so whether you like it or not is, as far as
Yeah. and that's exactly what I'm saying with like the existing EHS software vendors that are out there already have a software platform and you're already collecting data through them. They're augmenting those with AI. And so that if you're using any of those software-based platforms, it's very likely in the next, I don't know, couple of years, you're going to be using some form of AI. Some maybe a co-pilot that's sitting there saying, hey, we found these key insights from your from the data that you collected. It's coming. A lot of folks are going to be using it, whether you plan to or not. It's going to be there. Gosh, if you do a Google search right now, the first big block that pops up is, here's what we found, and it's a summary that's all generated by AI, right? Recent academic research. Okay, who has had fun so far? Who's learned a lot? Okay, because this is the weakest part of my presentation, and you will learn absolutely nothing, I promise you. There's a very good reason for this. Because this is so new, and because this is evolving so rapidly, there is absolutely nothing out there for academic research. Well, there's a little bit. I did pull a couple of things. But there's not a lot. Now, the reason that academic research is useful, though, is because it's generally non-biased, it's very rigorous, and there's more data and more proof to something versus just a vendor of AI doing their own case study. Does that make sense? That's why we look at academic research, to pull in the truth, hopefully the truth, to what's actually happening out there. So, again, this is very weak and we're going to speed through it because I'm running out of time. I'm already out of time. Look at that. Okay, here's what's happening. There are AI-driven exoskeletons that are under research. There's Internet of Things PPE with back-end AI analysis that's being researched. AI-based robotics, that's being researched. Computer vision, thankfully, that is also being researched. AI-based virtual reality training, and AI-driven drone sites. All of these things are under active research. That's all I can tell you. We don't know exactly how well it's working, but that is kind of my goal once I started this, was to not only learn what AI is and how it can possibly be used in safety, but how effective is it going to be at improving things. I can tell you the outlook is very, very positive, but the data is just not in yet. I'm going to skip over this stuff because it's absolutely useless. If you want to look at it, it's cool, but there's like some very, very minute specific things that have been proven in academic research, but none of it is like a whole solution. I told you, it's my weakest part of this presentation. I'm very passionate about how terribly I did this research. All right, I want to sum this up really quickly. AI and machine learning are rapidly evolving, have several prospective applications that can enhance safety, functional performance. The market for AI application is still young. Remember, I told you there's only a handful of firms out there, but it will grow very quickly. Now, again, the one thing I need you to not take away from here is that I need to be an AI programmer. No, you don't. But you should be familiar with the potential to qualify opportunities for future application, because here's what's going to happen. Software developers are going to be creating AI, and they're going to market it towards safety. We already have a handful of them out there doing it. Everybody's going to realize, oh, there's money here. Let's go after that. What we can't do is let them create that in a vacuum. Thankfully, the ones I've talked to so far are doing the right things. They are talking to the safety profession. They are asking questions. They are creating think tanks. They are getting these ideas because, hey, we have a very specific way about how we do our jobs. We have very specific acronyms. We have very specific processes. And we know that there's a right way to do safety and a wrong way to do safety. The last thing we want to happen is AI to learn the wrong way to do safety, and that's what's marketed. Because then we've got an absolutely useless tool. So, but we're not going to be able to fight that battle unless we understand how AI works. So what I would like for everyone to do is to leave here with a basic understanding, continue to learn more. Don't be scared of it, because there is a really, really cool thing happening here. AI is going to do great stuff in our profession, but we have to be the ones that guide it to do that work. Understand what the risks are. It is going to enhance what is already good, but it cannot fix what is bad. I talk a lot. I try not to make a lot of stuff up. So there's some references. Again, I can give you this. And at this point, I am ready to take some questions. I'm done yelling.
Can you expand on the labeling process? Because that seems to be the biggest weakness of the app.
Yeah, so I talked about my buddy Dan Snyder. He's actually, oh man, I totally forgot to preface this whole thing. I'm not an active user of AI. Other than the random Google search that gives me an AI output. I don't really use it a whole lot because I just don't have time, and I doubt if a lot of you have a lot of time to play with AI. My buddy Dan Snyder, he's halfway retired and has a ton of time on his hands to play with AI. And he has been doing a lot of work into breaking these systems. So what he has been doing is using a model and training it to do day-to-day safety work. To get there, he has to feed it the right information. He has to talk back and forth with this system to say, this is how I want you to think about this information. This is where I want you to gather the resources to solve these problems for me. That's labeling the data. That's telling the system where to look, how to look at it, how to process it, and how to provide an output. Now, the goal with training the model like that is that once you train it up front, you shouldn't have to do it in the future. It should be functional. Shouldn't have to do it.
But how do you account for individual prejudices being built into the labeling process?
That's the problem. That's the problem, is the prejudices that get built into the data set. So again, if I train the model incorrectly, I'm going to get incorrect outputs. So if you're encouraged at all to play with these things, I really would love for all of you to go out and play with this a little bit, but I don't think it's necessary. What we don't need is we don't need these models to be created in a vacuum without any safety input, because then it just won't understand what we do. We also have to come to a consensus on the right way to do safety, don't we?
So you know, you mentioned LinkedIn, right? So you get you're one of the experts that can answer this question.
Yeah, right.
Right? And that's absolutely someone feeding them on. They're gathering data to feed them on. Mm-hmm. How do you trust? How do you know what model to trust?
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great question. There's going to be a lot of questions you guys ask that I'm not going to know the answer to.
But you can find it.
Maybe I could find it. I can speculate. I can theorize on how to solve that problem. But the reality is, it's going to take a while to get there. Here's the encouraging thing right now. AI is very limited in what it can do. Remember I told you we're still working with a very weak form of AI. It's not going to do everything that we need it to do yet. In which case, when we get into these larger discussions, theoretical discussions about the right and the wrong way to do things, AI is not even really going to be touching that right now. What it can do is the things that we know for sure, like those, 1910, 1926, company policy, what actually happened. All of those things are kind of set, and I could feed AI that and do something useful with that. That's about where we're going to be with AI for a while. When we get into the higher level stuff, I will tell you the blame the worker thing. Dan said he's already seen that in some of the outputs from his model that he's trying to break. And so when we see that, we, as a profession, have to have the foresight to be able to say, wait a second, Mr. AI, this isn't how I want to solve this problem. I want you to solve it in this way. And so we have to kind of have that conversation with the system to train it correctly. It's going to take us a while. But again, we have to be the ones that are providing that input so that it's developed correctly. Okay, hold on. I will say with some of these questions, we're getting into this is a little scary thing. I don't want anybody to be scared. This is good stuff. Very positive. There's a lot of cool things that we can do. But again, like anything else that we do in our workplace, there is risk with whatever process we put into place, whatever new shiny object we use. There's risk, and we have to treat it that way. Doesn't mean it's scary. It just means that there's risk, and we have to think about it.
You don't have to rip on Skynet.
No, Skynet's not coming for at least 100 years, guys. Now, my buddy Dan, he thinks it's coming next year. It's not. Okay? It's not Skynet. Jeez.
What if you become self-aware in 30 milliseconds?
Listen, I love the Terminator movies. I want to be able to enjoy the Terminator movies for the next 100 years. It's not coming, all right? Maybe eventually, but not anytime soon. We'll all be long gone. Any other questions?
Good job.
Wow, okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. I do have one more thing, guys. I am right in the middle of a research project right now that is completely unrelated to AI. It is about professional credibility in occupational safety and health. If any of you feel like you have any sort of insight into what makes a safety professional professionally credible, I would love to schedule you for an interview. It only takes like 15, 20 minutes. Please scan my QR code, send me an email, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm telling you, definitely something worth listening to. So here's what I would love to do, if you're okay with this. Next week, we're going to do the follow-up. You're going to be able to take a listen to what exactly was the conversation between me and Dr. Matthew Law about his presentation and some questions that drove me after the presentation itself. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Safety FM with Jay Allen. I've been your safety manager and host, and until next time, be safe.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.